And I appreciate some of our young adults who have a desire to work with our missionaries. And man, what a blessing it is to have so many missionaries come our way here at East River Baptist Church. And one of them that we love dearly is Brother Bob Mack. And man, he has just got things organized and productive and impacts that area. And we're going to see some pictures of that here in just a little bit. But I also appreciate some of our young men, young ladies who have a desire to do good works with these missionaries and minister with them. And praise God for that. So, Abby, I want you to come. And she has some pictures, and she'll be explaining some of these things to us. I have not seen these pictures yet, but I have heard that she showed them in Sunday school, and our young folks really enjoyed them. So, Abby, I appreciate you being willing to go, dear. All right?
I think it's already on, right? Okay. Do you mind if I turn the lights off? Well, I'm not as cute as them, so I'm really sorry, but I hope you guys are entertained by this. I hope it keeps you interested. First of all, I just wanted to say, like Pastor said, our church is huge into missions, and I just want to thank all of you guys for that, because you guys giving faithfully to each of these missions is really the reason I was even able to go. You guys were part of the funding for my trip, and I'm so incredibly thankful for that. And just seeing your love of missions is amazing. And I say yours, our love of missions, because thankfully I'm a part of this church, and I'm thankful for that as well. God has put me in an amazing place. So the group that I went with is called Access. It's giving access to the gospel through medical missions. So while I was there, I had a lot of opportunities. I was able to do some village ministries. We were also able to do the medical missions like we were supposed to. And we were also able to go work at an orphanage for a week, which was really awesome. The first week we were there, we did our village ministry. And what that looked like is we had a group from the Bangerville Church, which is the main church that Brother Bob Mack has over there. And we took this group out, and we would go to visit, specifically to visit church members, but also their family members who weren't saved. And we got to witness to these people who have never heard Christ before, and specifically the two girls in the middle. Their names are Aisha and Anj, and they are two Muslim girls who they've been witnessing for a while too. I got to witness to while I was there. And I actually found out on Sunday that they both got saved this past weekend, which is absolutely amazing. And this is just a small picture of how God is working in the details, because the population around Bangerville is not, it's predominantly Catholic. It's not predominantly Muslim. And so the fact that we had two Muslim girls that we had been witnessing constantly to is just a thing from God. So this right here was some preparation for the church. So Christine has to do all these meetings with all the Bangerville church members leading up to the trip. So you see how every meeting starts with prayer. Every moment that they're together, they pray. And then they had this big meeting, and you'll see like in the bottom right where she kind of breaks off into smaller groups, and she meets specifically with pharmacy or with evangelism, specifically with each of these different groups, make sure they're all prepared and have all their questions answered as well. This was our first day in Kofi Crow. So this is actually a new village for us, which was really cool because I got to be a part of them going to ask the chief. And a little bit of backstory for this village. The second week, maybe the first week, sorry, my timelines are a little messed up. One of the weeks while I was there, we went into this village to talk to the chief of the village and ask him if we could come do medical care for his people. And he looked at Christine, and a few years ago, she worked in a clinic with the doctor that we worked with in Ivory Coast. And he looked at her and he said, I really want you to come because I know you're not only going to bring medical care for my people, but I know you're going to bring spiritual care for them. And so she hadn't worked at that clinic in almost 10 years. She was like, the fact that he even remembered us, that was just completely God, again, working in those small details. So you'll see here, this is kind of like our consultation area. You'll see us working with our different patients. This is where we as providers get to meet each of our patients, figure out what's going on with them, which in Kofi Crow specifically, there was a lot of malaria. That was mainly what we saw there. Because they are closer to the city, they're not as hard on their medical as Ma, which is the other place that we went to. So this is kind of a picture of what the evangelism looks like. So it's all one-on-one. Each of these kids in front of that one person who's evangelizing, they're all part of the same family. So after they come to us, get their medical care, then they get to go into evangelism while they're waiting on their prescriptions. And this is just really cool because all of these people have been intensely trained by Brother Bob's school that he has there. And so it was really cool just watching them engage with each person differently. So they're 50% literate there. So they had different ways to, if you're Muslim, if you're Catholic, if you're literate, illiterate, they had so many different ways to share the gospel, and it was really cool just to see them sharing the gospel. So this was our team for Kofi Crow. I want to say it's probably like 95% of our team. It definitely wasn't all of them. And majority of these people also went to Ma with us, but not quite all of them. This was our first day up in Ma. So up in Ma, the Bangerville church has a pastor that they sent out from their church up to Ma, which is about a 12-hour drive from Bangerville. And it's Pastor Gouet. And they just opened up a church building in July, actually. And so when Brother Bob and Christine got back from furlough in January, Pastor Gouet came to them and he said, I want to build a church building. This is what I want to do, and this is how much I need. And yes. And they said, okay, we don't have the money now, but we'll figure out how to get it. The next day, Christine got a call from one of her supporting churches that said that they wanted to donate that exact amount and more. They didn't know that she needed it. It was completely gone. And so he opened up this church just a few weeks before we even got there, and he said he wanted to do the first baptisms when we got there. Well, one of the gentlemen, he is this one right here. He was actually the contractor on the church, and he got saved through being the contractor. Every day, Pastor Gouet just went and witnessed to him as he's building this church. And it was just, again, one of those God things where you can't explain it. So these were the 5 people who first got baptized at that church. And then Pastor Gouet's all the way on the left. And then Pastor Zama is all the way on the right. He's actually one of the pastors also sent out from Bangerville, and he's in Zonge. These are each of the different baptisms. So the same 5 people on the page right before. And then this was the start of our medical days in Ma. So every day we started with a big meeting of just encouraging one another of this is what today is going to look like. It's going to be busy. We're going to be tired, but we're going to push through. And we have so many more days to do, and it's going to be good. And we also started off every morning with a prayer. One in French, one in English. Got to include everybody. So this is how we started each of our mornings. And then so 2 of us were registered nurse. So you'll see on the top right, we oftentimes would kind of get together and figure out what was going with our patients together because we're not used to prescribing medications for our patients. But these are each of our patients. You see on the left how a lot of the mamas come in and their babies are on their back. And you just see so many different children, so many families coming in who have never seen medical care before. And then right here is going to be all the nurse practitioners, and our doctor. So in the middle is Dr. Cabe, Bernard Cadio. He is from the Ivory Coast, and he has worked with Christine for about 15 years, I believe. And he's just so amazing. He just wants to serve God. He wants to do medical care for his fellow Ivorians, and he just wants to point them to Christ like he has been. And he's really a very smart person. He actually is on staff at Bob Jones University, and he's planning to open a clinic. They break ground on it in December. He's also working under Bob Mack a little bit. They break ground in December, and he hopes to open it in like a year or two. So definitely be praying for him with that. This is our pharmacy. So you see they're kind of set up in so many different ways. All the meds are just right out there, and they just fill orders as we give them. So on the top left, you'll see where the last night we were literally working into the night because we had 806 patients in one day with 6 providers, and you'll see there's a point where we all have our flashlights and we're just doing what we can because the sun had already gone down. And it was really awesome to see everybody just come together and pull together, because you can't leave these patients out there without their medicines. They've been waiting for hours. They come in, they get their medical care, they hear the gospel, and you can't just say, oh, I'm sorry, sun's down, you got to go home, we can't get you your medications. You still have to fulfill those orders, and just seeing everybody work together in that, of everybody knew how important that was. This is a little bit of the evangelism up in Ma. So in the bottom left, that's Pastor Zama. He's, again, the pastor at Zongay. And you'll see that they have some women in evangelism, and then they have some men as well. So that way, if there's a single woman that comes in and she would feel more comfortable talking to a woman, they have that for her. It was really cool because while we were there was this woman that came in. She was in her 20s, and she heard the gospel. She made a profession of faith, and she wouldn't leave. She just kept saying, tell me again. Tell me again. Tell me how he died on the cross for me. Tell me exactly what he did for me. Tell me how much he loves me. And it was just one of those moments where we forget that hope that we didn't have. And frankly, sometimes I feel like don't understand how hopeless they are sometimes, because we did grow up around, personally, I grew up around Christ, and sometimes I don't understand how you've never heard the gospel in your life. And so to see that was just so sweet. Here's just a little bit of a picture of the different types of patients we have. So the little boy on the top right, he's got a bunch of sores on his face from just different things going on with his skin, honestly. And then you see the gentleman in the bottom right. He's all dressed up to come get some medical care. They put on their nicest clothes because the Americans are here and they're going to give us medical care. And then they get hit with the gospel too. Up in Ma, it was 80% predominantly Muslim. So in the bottom left, you'll see those Muslim ladies with their full attire on. And this is where you just see God working, because we had those 2 Muslim girls the couple weeks before, and our first profession of faith in Kofi Crow was also a 10-year-old Muslim boy. So to just see how he was preparing us for what we were about to get ourselves into, it's just so encouraging to know that he's there every moment. And then this was just a little bit of fun that we were having. Miss Becky went and cooked with the ladies a couple days, because every single day the ladies made us lunch and dinner. And so she went and helped them one day, and then we also went for a hike. So that picture of Christine and Dr. Cadio, they were up on top of a mountain because we had just gone hiking. And then, of course, when you're with medical supplies, you got to make glove balloons, because why not? And then this is just a picture of all of us. So while we were up in Ma, the Pastor Gouet, he told us while we were there, he said, we want to decorate you, which is one of the highest honors you can achieve over there, because what it is they're giving you part of their fabric, and their fabric is basically saying, welcome to our home, welcome into our culture. And that's what they did. They gave us each a piece of fabric, the girls' dresses, the guys' shirts. And one of our pastors, he told us, he said, if we said, come hear the word of God, no one would come. But when we say, come for medical care, they come. It's like that. We catch fish, it breaks down barriers. And that was Pastor Zama who told us that. And that was just such a sweet moment of, that really is what broke us down to get to these people. Without medical care, we wouldn't be able to reach them. And God knows that. And He's working in the details over there. He knows exactly what everybody needs. Another story was just, I'm sure you guys have heard this from Brother Bob. He, when he first got there to Dangerville, he really wanted to reach into the villages. And this was really hard. He kept going in. They kept telling him no. They're like, we already have all of our religions. We have Catholic, we have Muslim, we have Seventh-day Adventist. We got it all. We're good. And then when Christine came over and tried doing a medical day, and they were like, oh, of course, come on in. It really was like a complete open door. It was, like Pastor Zama said, it was catching fish. And so I just, again, thank you guys so much for being my support system through all of this. It's been amazing, and that is it.